with the news yesterday of Darnell Savage going to nickel, Antonio Johnson safety. Antonio Johnson can play nickel. The Jags do have a couple of other guys that they've drafted from Buster Brown, right, to others that they've developed a little bit over a couple of years that have actually played a bit. They do have Tyson Campbell. It's going to be a monster year for Tyson. Where do you look at the Jags from a cornerback spot? I feel like Jacksonville, like the fan base and the media, is overplaying the need for corner right now. Am I missing? Are they right? Where are the Jags at?
Well, where it looks right now, you have Tyson Campbell. You'd probably put him on the ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know how the NFL works. A lot of teams have 1A, 1B. So let's call it for what it is. Let's call it 1A, 1B. Do you have a corner right now that you're confident? And keep in mind, the slot is different, right? So take the slot corner out of this right now. Do you have a corner on your roster that you feel confident putting on a 1B? If the answer is yes, then we're all good. If the answer is I'm not sure, well, then guess what? It's a room for upgrade.
Well, I mean, am I comfortable with an experienced Darby?
I mean, yeah.
Are we talking room for upgrade as in at any point in the draft or a room for upgrade as in the first round?
Oh, no, I'm talking for any I'm envisioning more like a second or third round.
Okay.
Yeah.
Depth.
Well, really, it would come at first, second round, right? I mean, if you're going to get an upgrade over a guy that's already on the team.
Sure, but once again, I think you can compete with Darby, like if that's the plan.
Yeah.
You know?
Where do you feel, Hamby? I mean, are you worried about the corner spot right now in Jacksonville?
I'm not worried about it. I mean, I think Austen's 100% right that it calls for an upgrade, and I think everybody's right on that. But based off of what we've done in free agency and based off of Doug's comments that we're about to hear, where he's pretty much set with Savage in the slot and Darby on the outside with Tyson and then Antonio Johnson stepping up at safety, along with Cisco and Dewey. If you draft a guy in the first round, that's a starter, right?
Yeah,
and
it has
to be.
Yeah.
And based off of what Doug said yesterday, it sounds like starting-wise, we've got our guys. So it's like, yeah, obviously we're going to upgrade at some point, but it's like you draft a guy in the first round, then you're either sitting him or Darby's on the bench. And why'd you bring him in if Darby's going to be on the bench?
Yeah, that's really where I'm at with it. It's like again, when you have, if you're going to go get a receiver at 17,
yes.
Well, I could see you diminishing the role or even releasing, quite frankly, at some point, Zay Jones, right? I can see that. You could save $4 million. You get a younger player, maybe that skill set somewhat similar, or maybe even keep Zay Jones. I mean, I don't know how you figure that out, but the bottom line is there's a path for me at receiver because, number one, you're doing more and more to help Trevor. You're building what everybody else is stacking up at receiver too, so the upgrade feels real. And also you get a younger player in a position where you're heavily invested dollars-wise with experienced players. So, like, you almost need to do that for the math going forward. Mm-hmm. Sooner or later, you've got to reset the receiver position with younger players. So that's why I really like the receiver spot for a bunch of those reasons at 17 especially, and maybe even at 48. On the other side, I'm trying to figure out where you're getting this guy on the field.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
If you're picking top 7 corner, top 10 corner, well, then you're probably getting a hell of a player. You're getting a Jalen Ramsey that, boom, maybe gets right in.
Yeah.
Right?
And then you're talking about Tyson Campbell goes down to the 2, and then this guy's going to take the 1.
That's right. And that also shows, and that would also showcase that you're not super confident that Tyson's going to get this next contract and everything else.
Which is justifiable based on what we've seen him. Yeah.
Yeah. Last year was a lost year for Tyson. But at 17 now, you're getting me into a realm where I'm not as sure that guy, like, you want to go back and look at corners in the draft at like 17, 22, 24. It's really hit or miss now.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hit or miss. In that draft that Okudah got taken, which also was a miss, and Henderson got taken, there were also like 4 other corners in that draft, especially in the teens and the 20s, that also didn't deliver.
Yeah.
So I just want, like, you just went and spent money in free agency on Savage to play that spot. You just spent $5 million a year or whatever.
Getting, by the way, with Savage, this is a guy who's a press corner, who's physical, who's going to give you some good looks, and probably play at a pretty good level. pretty high level.
You know what I haven't. One thing I would say. I think if they were to draft corner at 17, you know what I wonder what would be in play? A trade Tyson Campbell. Because he just doesn't fit what they want to do. So maybe you go get the fit guy, right, into Nielsen's defense.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not advocating for it. I'm just wondering because otherwise, I'm trying to figure out how the heck is he getting on the field.
Well, no, and I'm coming with you on this for sure. And I don't know like what the odds are saying right now of like where the Jaguars see the cornerback. Like, I don't see him taking cornerback. I really don't because once again, I think Darby. I mean, it's the question to me is Tyson Campbell. That's how they feel about Tyson Campbell. If it's me, I almost got to roll with him another year because of what we invested to get him.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, by the way.
Yeah. So, once again, this is why it almost – I don't want to say it shores up for sure a wide receiver in the first round because then you can talk about defensive end as well, an edge rusher. But then to echo the point and echo Hamby's point, you draft the guy in the first round, you need him to play right away. Like this isn't like a Taven Bryan thing where you draft him. It's like, we'll throw him in eventually. Our team's fine. We almost went to the Super Bowl, the previous year. It's not the case. You missed the playoffs. You need players to produce right away.
Yeah.
You bring an edge rusher in, and they're talking about 4 down linemen. You bring an edge rusher in. Is he playing right away? Or is he just going to rotate? And I get it. It's different. But then what? You're going to draft the guy in the first round to rotate?
Well, I do think there's more.
Trayvon Walker.
I think you could say that more, right? Because they're going to go into 4-3, right? I mean, what's their third down package right now? Armstead in the middle, Trayvon, Josh. Who's their fourth guy? The Gibson guy they just picked up?
Could be. Yeah.
But my point is, if you get the guy at 17, he's that guy. And you're in passing situations a lot, so you can be in that lineup quite a bit.
Okay.
And you do want to keep people fresh. I mean, there are plenty of series where a Josh and a Trayvon or a Josh or a Trayvon will come off the field. So I think like that guy, you can make the case if let's just use Jared Verse because everybody knows the name and everybody likes that name. If Verse is available at 17, my guess is you get him on the field a hell of a lot more fitting in than you would be able to get your corner on the field right now as your setup.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's why corner at 17 just. I mean, I think we could look back in this draft and I'm not saying that they shouldn't take corner at 48. But if they took corner at 48, I think we're going to get a lot of the same conversation that we're getting about Brent Strange and guys like that. It's like, well, what did he do?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll ask the same question I asked at the beginning of last year. What do you want him to do? Like, where's the hole for him to do anything?
Yeah, but keep in mind what we're talking about. When you got Brenton Strange and everything, and I've talked about this before, and even Tank Bigsby, I think they were a little more of a luxury pick because you thought you had the roster to compete to go to the Super Bowl, or at least make a run at it. That was their line of thinking. Obviously, they were wrong, couldn't beat Tennessee, you don't go to the playoffs. Well, this year, you need a couple guys to come in and contribute because you don't have the roster right now to go to a Super Bowl until we'll see how this draft shakes out. So I think it's a different landscape in terms of the guys that you get in the first round, the guys that you get in the second round, they got to contribute. They got to come in right away and be like, okay, yep, we can't have Brenton Stranges. We can't have Tank Bigsby's. We need guys to come in and perform right away.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting play. Let's hear from Doug from the owners' meetings yesterday when asked about the cornerback position.
I feel good. I do feel good. Ronald Darby, who we had in Philly, and added that piece, obviously, and with Tyson back there, and now with Darnell adding that mix. We got, as we mentioned, Antonio, and we got some young players that have played, and Monteric and stuff like that. I mean, it's obviously a position that we're always gonna, it's a passing league, right? So you got to have defenders, and you got to have guys that can cover the pass. But you also have guys too. I mean, in our division, you're gonna, there's no shortage of running backs, so they're gonna have to be physical and tackle as well. And so, but I feel like we've improved, and we still have the draft ahead of us, and all of that. So we'll see where this thing shakes out.
That's an interesting kind of read between the lines, right? It's like we've improved, but we still have the draft ahead of us. Like, hey, we're definitely going to add here. We're not fully happy with what we've got. It's just a matter of where they do it.